Welcome to The Twist, everybody, America's only clothing optional podcast. This is Mark McNease in New York City with my co-host.
Rick Rose, fully dressed in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Yeah, and that tactical stuff, I got Twisty's back on the good list because we're not having the problems now that we were having earlier in our dress. Right, we do a dress, just so people
our
know
dress
that.
rehearsal was terrible, folks. I called you in, and then you as a family of listeners, and then you couldn't really hear what I was saying because it got choppy. And then I let Mark know that when we have technical issues so early in the morning when we record these, I just feel like you're upset with me, Mark, but you're not. You're upset with
I'm never upset
Wi-Fi.
with you. It's technology.
I know.
But thank God for Twisty because totally got this, into shape. Now, people may be wondering.
I did look up the spelling of Z, by the way.
It is
neither of us.
Is it a ZHE like Chinese?
No, I forgot. I think I thought it was, but I think it's XE.
So. Oh, XE. Oh my God, you're right. I like that. I like that.
Me too.
But anyway, so people may be saying who are watching us on YouTube, why am I wearing this? It's because I thought we could do add a fashion segment to the show, but I bought this yesterday at Burlington Coat Factory. It's made by Bass.
Nice.
It's fabulous. It's like a semi-winter coat, but you can see how the hood comes down. And Frank and I take long walks in the country. We take long walks in the city too, but this is perfect for rain, and it's going to be perfect for our cruise. Now I'm going to take it off. So, and by the way, it's clothing optional. I do have a shirt underneath, but I'm wearing boxers. I don't think anybody wants to see that.
Oh my gosh, Mark. You know what you're doing now is a perfect example of layering.
I do layer. I layer, and I also layer in meaning. You know me. I always talk in layers.
Well, I know there's oh my God, did the news break up last night? To put things in context, because like you said, Mark, we live on YouTube and people can see us at any point, or they live on podcast sites and people can listen to us at any point. But you guys, it was Obama's last speech as president last night. Everyone wondering where Sasha was because Malia was there, Michelle was there, but where was Sasha? And then all this news breaking out, that BuzzFeed printed the 32-page report on Putin, and did you see all this speculation that he's got something on Trump? Boy, it was the last big night in politics last night.
We're going to talk about it. Now, I didn't watch the his farewell address because I knew I was going to get really sad and down, and I didn't want to go to bed that way. So we watched the finale of Good Behavior, the show I was raving about, which is really kind of ridiculous, but I enjoy it. But no, I didn't watch it because I knew it was going to I didn't feel like going to bed super down, and then the thing in the morning with Trump, I'm going to talk about that a little bit because I've been saying for quite some time now that they have something on this man because his treatment. You were so perfect. Be very careful in moving.
I know
his treatment.
Gotta get the light. I don't like the way I look, but go ahead.
Now you look fine, but you don't necessarily see you the way I see you, and I'm telling you, you look great.
Can you see the color of my eyes?
Bloodshot.
Okay, yeah.
Because I know you like the wine.
I do. The wino in me. But go ahead. So you're talking about Trump.
Just that I've thought for a long time that they had something on him, and that's why he's so accommodating to Russia. Because I don't think it's explicable any other way. Like, he's an American, and he's going to be the American president, and he's denigrating our intelligence agencies. And I thought they've got some poop on this guy. Well, I mean, actually they may have, but it's crazy.
Well, no, it's pee apparently.
Well,
the story apparently.
I read, and it doesn't surprise me. Another comparison is Obama has been an elegant president for 8 years, a great father, no scandals, no extramarital stuff, and I don't doubt for an instant that Donald Trump is the sort of person who would hire Russian prostitutes to urinate on a mattress that Barack and Michelle Obama slept on. Whether it's true or not, we're going to find out, and I hope they do find out. There's video somewhere, but it wouldn't surprise me at all because he's so vindictive and so vicious that wouldn't surprise me.
I posted that part of the story and called him a fucker on my Facebook, and then went back and edited that about 5 minutes later because I said that was pretty rude of me, and then I called him a pervert. 3 of my friends liked it, but then I took it off because as I saw the news unfold, I sleep with my phone during the night because I'm a news junkie, folks. And
Rick, that's why you don't sleep well.
So I'm bloodshot. I know. But anyway, so I said, well, we don't have confirmation of this story. Although CNN, HuffPost are saying they do. New York Times is saying they're not going to publish the full report yet until they get to the bottom of it. This was a report put together by someone in Britain for Trump's opposition. So I don't know how it's going to unfold, Mark. And even if it does unfold that he, was involved in this, what is it going to cost him January 20th inauguration? I don't know.
No, but it will cost him the presidency. I'm telling you, because the mafia, it wasn't just the salacious, sleazy stuff in the hotel room. It's that he owes the Russian mob tens of millions of dollars.
Lots and lots of money.
And I'm telling you, he's not gonna last, because we've been conditioned now for months to think that he can get away with absolutely anything, and that is not true. That is not true.
Well, Mark,
he will be the president of the United States. He will be the president. Go on, Rick. Step on me. Go ahead.
No, I am, because you just need to move on, Mark. Okay, it happened. Hillary lost. Trump won. You need to move on. We have to just.
We cannot abide a criminal in the White House, and I'm telling you, he will resign. He will be forced to resign. Either they will go back to him, and it's a back room. The leadership will go to and say, "You must resign," or he'll be indicted, because that's treasonous. I mean, when he's selling out our country because he owes the Russian mob $100 million, he's not going to survive. And I'm telling you, he'll be out by the end of the year. And then I'm going to add this in here, too, because I wasn't expecting us to open with this.
Nor was I, sorry.
This is a comment to my progressive friends, my Democratic friends. By the way, I'm registered now as a no party, because I think the Democrats are sad.
Hey, yes. Careful.
But anyways, no, it's when I've so many times I've heard people now over the months say, "Oh, we don't want to get rid of Trump because then we'll have Mike Pence," and to me, that's a compromise of my principles that I'm not going to do. If Donald Trump committed these crimes, if he owes the Russian mob millions of dollars, and he, is cavorting with Russian prostitutes and water sports, he needs to go. And at least Mike Pence, I think, respects and understands our form of government and can be gone in 4 years. I think Mike Pence, as much as I don't like him, I would much prefer Mike Pence at this time, because I want Donald Trump to fall.
Yeah,
and I'm just saying that it's the his voters compromise themselves by the millions, saying it's okay that he's this horrible person, and the evangelicals, it's okay that he's about as far from a Christian as you can get, because it gets them into power. And when the Democrats say we got to keep him in office so we don't have Pence, to me it's the same goddamn thing. So either live by your principles or don't. But don't, I'm not playing it that way. See, I don't want to get upset, because we have listeners who don't like it when I get upset.
No, that's Ken. Are you listening? Ken's okay with it. I think Ken made a comment that Ken said, and my friend Seth and Ken's girlfriend Courtney, they all said the other day, Mark, we need to make our show longer, because most podcasts to them should be a driving distance from home to work, and for most people that commutes about 45 minutes. And so anyway, it's okay, we can ramble.
We made it longer.
We sure did, because we weren't going to discuss this stuff. And when I was stepping on you, I was kidding, because I had to hear it again last night from my friend Lynn, who I love, but she's like, she wasn't saying me, but she's like, people need to move on, Rick. We need to give it a chance. No, fuck, no. I told her, no, I'm posting. I'm doing what I want. And
to me, one more example.
Don't shush me. Don't shush me.
One more example, then I'm going to light. We're going to lighten up very quickly.
Okay.
To me, that's like saying, there's no statute of limitations on murder for a reason. That's like saying that finding out who the killer was from a murder that took place 30 years ago. Well, let's just move on. No, we're not doing that. No.
No, I agree. Okay, we'll move on. But I'm in total concurrence. I mean, Pence will be checked and balanced, and I'd rather have it'll all work itself out. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, everybody, welcome to The Twist, America's only... Oh, we did that already.
Yeah, Shreveport, Louisiana, fast forward.
That's Twisted. I love our show.
Okay, yeah, we got some headlines out there, Mark. We like to start our show with a few twisted headlines. The one we just expounded upon certainly was twisted. What you got, Mark? I got some good ones, too. You start.
Okay, you want me to run through mine, then you'll do yours? You want
to do it that way? We can do it that way. Yeah.
Or we can go back and forth. I don't care. We got to make a decision by the next show. Let me just run through mine. I'll run through mine then. And these are from sources. These are not coming from a kitchen in Belarus from some teenager who's making money on clickbait. These are from news sources that I read and I can vouch for as being reliable. And at least they're saying the Trump stuff is not verified yet, so it's good for them. Okay, here come the bathroom police. Alabama goes after Target by tapping attendants to monitor trans-inclusive restrooms. They're trying to pass a bill that will require like bathroom attendants in Target to make
Oh
sure
my.
that nobody's violating their transgender bathroom law. And then I thought, well, what about places like we stop in restaurants and stuff where they have unisex bathrooms? Does that mean every business in Alabama is going to have a bathroom monitor? It's just nuts.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's horrible. That's twisted.
It is.
That's twisted. Then I don't have to do the sound effect later on because I can't. But
I like the sound effect.
I know, but the thing is, on the video, it's a hassle because I risk putting the audio out of sync. So
That's twisted.
that's
Okay.
twisted. I'll just raise my hands and we'll go. That's twisted. Okay, you ready?
Good. I like it.
James Corden, I know this is a hard one for you. James Corden will not be hosting Carpool Karaoke, the series. Billy Eichner, Chelsea Handler, that's going to make you happy, and John Legend will be doing it. Apple Music is doing the series, by the way, of the show. Now, I don't watch it. I've always found it to be sort of nauseatingly cute, but I know it's very, very popular.
That's twisted.
Dear Sofia Vergara, now is a bad time for more Latina stereotype jokes. Now, I don't think it's her fault. This has to do with the Golden Globes when she got up and she did the bad English joke, saying anal instead of annual. I don't blame her because I read another thing that's pleaded with the Golden Globes to please stop doing that to her. She doesn't write the material. She just gets up and delivers it, and they're absolutely right. It's time to get past this crap. She speaks perfectly good English, and it's not funny to have her to sort of humiliate her and have her say anus. That's twisted.
That's twisted. It really is. It's disgusting.
The attack on Planned Parenthood hurts transgender people too, which I didn't know. This is really good information. Planned Parenthood is actually the largest provider of health care to trans people in the United States. Did you know that? I think very few
I did
people
not
know that.
I really didn't.
So of course I'm a big Planned Parenthood supporter. So I hope that I hope they fail in trying to defund them. Although I've also wondered, this is just a little minor tangent. It'd be so great if they didn't get federal funds. I mean, it would just be great if they could be supported through contributions and outside sources, so we could just detach from the whole government crap. Texas health official envisions fetuses being buried in a mass grave for $2 each. Now, did you know about this? Indiana tried to pass a law. I think it's on hold. But the next wave of these actually, I've been reading it called the forced birth movement instead of pro-life, and I happen to actually like that. The people in the forced birth movement now, they're trying everything they can to stop abortion, and so they're trying to pass these laws in various states where you have to either bury or cremate your fetus, and this includes miscarried fetuses, which I find infuriating because I was adopted after my mother miscarried. Thank God she's not alive now and would not have to have some sort of ridiculous fucking funeral for her miscarried fetus. But anyway, so to try to get around the undue burden problem with the Supreme Court decision, Texas, they're going to offer like mass graves to funeral homes for $2 a piece. You know, how's that for respecting the unborn?
That's twisted.
That's twisted. And then I got to my last thing, which we already talked about, which was the Trump stuff. Man, I'm telling you, I saw it coming. I just saw it coming, and I hope that, I hope he's not able to. I don't care what his supporters think of this. I don't give a shit what they think because they don't care what he does. Maybe the prostitutes are 12 years old. They don't care. Maybe he fucked them and they were 10. They don't care. But that's not who I don't care about them anymore. And I'll get to that in my bubble topic. But the reality is, I saw this coming for a long time, and I hope that the New York Times and various investigative organizations that are highly reputable bring this man down because he needs to be brought down. That's twisted.
Because that is twisted. He is twisted, and we're done with it. My headlines, let's see. I've got some good twisted ones. I found a few. First of all, the one I love starts with, here we go. I got to get it right. I got to scan over. I operate, under a couple different phones and pseudonyms and anonyms. And hey, by the way, Mark, I just got to point out, it is Mardi Gras season here in Louisiana, and some king cakes are out, and they're doing some really cool flavors this year.
Those were so fun.
They're great
and so tasty.
They start on 12th night, which coincides on the Christian calendar with Epiphany, and they conclude with Fat Tuesday, last day you can eat them, which this year is the end of February, early March. But cool flavors are doing this year, like triple berry and cream, mint chocolate chip, bananas Foster, pina colada. They're getting twisted. with their king cake flavors, Mark.
That's excellent. And you used to do them. And I helped you with the website, kingcakes.com.
You did the best kingcakes.com.
Thebestkingcakes.com.
Yes, and we did them, and now they're doing savory king cakes. So if you guys are interested in ordering a boudin-filled king cake, I got you covered. Anyway, here's my first headline: free marijuana on day of inauguration.
That's twisted.
That's twisted. So for folks that are interested, you can go to DuPont Circle at 8 a.m. the day of the election, and a group that's been around for many, many years that's supportive of it says we're gonna light up at 4 minutes and 20 seconds into Trump's speech, and it's kind of reaction. They're going to hand out 4,200 marijuana joints for people to toke or whatever they do anymore with it. Senator Jeff Sessions, of course, who we're hoping doesn't get the nomination. He's got the nomination. We're hoping he doesn't get put in as Attorney General. Of course, has made it known. He says the government needs to send a message to people that good people don't smoke marijuana. So light up, folks. Go and have a good time.
That's a whole topic for a show sometime. But I tried. I did a few tokes, didn't like it. Did an edible, didn't like it. I think my next step is suppositories, and if that doesn't work, I give up.
That's twisted. Mayor and others to depart. A Yahoo board company to be renamed Altaba.
Like it makes no
that's
sense.
Twisted.
What is Altaba?
Profile. Well, Altaba is going to be the new name of Yahoo. Yahoo's going away. Of course, AT&T acquired it, and the mayor and all the bigwigs at the top are stepping down. They're going to rename the company Altaba. I don't understand. I looked up, though. Yahoo got its name. Does anyone know what Yahoo was named after?
The chocolate cola?
It's an acronym, actually, Mark, for Yet Another Hierarchical Officious Oracle.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it comes from Kurt Vonnegut or something, I'm sure.
Something like that.
Because those techies, those Silicon people, they're so clever with their like Google is a mathematical term or something.
It's crazy. Well, I don't know what Altaba was because I went online after they announced that Yahoo is now going to be called Altaba without an exclamation point. I don't know what Altaba stands for, but it's like when our company split. I'm with Gannett, but when it split, the broadcast arm became Tegna, or Chicago Tribune. Their digital arm is called Tronc, Tronc. I don't get it. These names just suck.
Yeah, and good riddance. Yahoo is like, I've had so many people I know with Yahoo accounts that were hacked. It's like, Yahoo is horrible. Goodbye.
Altaba, long live on. Next headline: Amazon voice assistant Alexa orders herself some dollhouses.
Saw it, loved it.
That's just a good story. Voice activated device. Of course, I could say good morning to her now. Ready? Should I? Alexa, play Lady Gaga.
Oh my God, you have Alexa?
Oh, yeah. Alexa, play Lady Gaga.
My poker face.
And then she'll start.
My poker
Alexa,
face.
louder. There she goes.
We're losing him.
Okay.
We're losing audience.
Alexa, shut up. Alexa, stop. Okay, now I got to put back down. But Amazon, anyway, this Alexa thing, because it heard conversations we've talked about these stories before. The recorded voice to actually be used in court cases now. But anyway, she heard the family talking about dollhouses and ordered a $170 Kid Craft Sparkle Mansion dollhouse and delivered it to this family in Dallas, along with 4 pounds of sugar cookies. The family says now they talk in whispers because they don't want any more stuff sent to their house. That's funny.
Yeah, funny and creepy. And by the way, Alexa just screwed up your connection there for a second. So now we're onto something. We got to investigate. Go ahead.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Alexa might be coming after us. Next headline, and then I'm about done because there are so many twisted headlines out there.
They're all twisted.
They're all twisted. Here's the next one. Here's the headline. F***CK, which means fuck. Fuck without fear is the message of new Los Angeles LGBT to reduce HIV infection rate by promoting PrEP. Yeah, that's right. There's billboards up all over Los Angeles for an organization that you and I were very familiar with when we lived out there. And they're basically saying fuck without fear because they're saying that only 10% of HIV people infected by HIV are using PrEP. And they need to get it out there. PrEP, of course, for those not in the know, is a pill you can take almost like a birth control pill if you are HIV. And yeah, you take it and you can do unsafe sex, if you will. They encourage you not to. You know what I'm saying about this whole thing. Anyway, I just thought that the headline was interesting.
Now, that's twisted. Is that AIDS Project Los Angeles?
It is.
Because one of the founders just passed away last week at the age of 66. And, of course, that brings back memories for both of us, I'm sure, because I remember when APLA started out in LA.
Oh,
I
my
was
God. And calling it APLA. And I am mistaken. This was Los Angeles LGBT Center. So it's the LGBT Center, which we both know, too. I used to go to 12-step meetings.
Oh, yeah. I used to get tested there
Yeah.
25, 30 years ago.
Of course, they say that if you used correctly, you can reduce the risk of HIV infection by up to 99%. So please, fuck without fear, folks. Anyway.
Do it.
I think it's twisted. Do it. Okay, history was made. I'm going to start with we're going to start with the bubble topic because you came up with this yesterday, and I love it.
But
I thought
bubble. You had last final thoughts.
Oh, I do. Okay, so but see the bubble thing. Okay, well let's just.
Well, you want me? I can do the bubbles if you want to.
Yeah, let's talk about bubbles because that's going to lead into
it's
one of the bubble
things. It's going to lead into the gender bubbles.
Yeah, which I'm showing for our YouTube follower friends, and we encourage you if you just listen to us on the podcast, watch us too because we're kind of cute. But anyway, this issue of National Geographic dedicated to gender interviewed 80 kids, and not all transgender kids, but took the topic of transgender and talked about the topic of gender, which Mark and I are going to talk about shortly here. But
we'll start out with the bubbles, which, by the way, I think is a fabulous nom de plume. I love bubbles.
Mm-hmm. I love bubbles.
Bubbles is going to be my name, my drag name.
Oh my God, I love it.
So, anyways, bubbles. Yeah, Meryl. And it does work into that. Meryl Streep, of course, did her now famous speech on the Golden Globes about Donald Trump's. She didn't say his name, but come on, we knew everybody knew who she was talking about when he mocked the reporter. I don't even know that he's disabled. If you're born with a congenital, are you disabled? But anyways,
anyway.
he has a condition, and his hand is cramped and twisted. So Donald Trump mocked him. It was famous. Everybody thought he was finished when that happened, and of course he's not, because it goes back to what we said. They don't care what he does, and I don't care what they think anymore. The Trump supporters. Because as far as I'm concerned, they have no integrity. But anyways, she does her speech, and then she's like slam. I don't like the word slam either. You see it in all the headlines. But she was criticized, of course, in the right-wing blogosphere, which I don't read. And Meghan McCain said, this is why Trump won. Hollywood needs to and oh my God. But anyways. I just think everybody's got a bubble. We all live in bubbles, and bubble is the new slur. So when if you're opposed to somebody or you don't like the way they see the world, that you accuse them of living in a bubble. There was a fabulous repost to this on Facebook that I shared by a woman I think she's a screenwriter, and she talked about the fact that 1% of Hollywood is in that room. The rest of Hollywood, which is a real place, my air quotes, the rest of Hollywood, I lived in Hollywood. I lived on Franklin Avenue. There's a place, it really is a place called Hollywood. It's not a myth. And but she talked about the fact that thousands and thousands of jobs are created by these stars. And these people work hard. They got calls at 6 a.m. They got to drive, an hour to get to location. They work 12 hours a day. They work very, very hard. So this idea that people living and working in Hollywood don't know what the rest of America is up against is bullshit. And it's another example of how they accuse progressives of being in a bubble, and we accuse them of being in the sort of white working class bubble, which I'm also really tired of reading about. I said the other day I would love to. I want to read an interview with a Trump voter, because they exist. Like who's got a doctorate and lives in Manhattan or San Francisco. They're out there.
Right.
But the newspapers, the media, and we got to figure out a new word for the media because it's gotten so broad. But every time they interview Trump people or they do little pieces about Trump voters, they always head to some little Greasy Grits diner in Indiana. And there are Trump voters in every state. So I'm just tired of this stereotype of Trump supporters, and I'm tired of the stereotypes. I'm just tired of all these bubbles as accusations. You don't understand me because you live in this bubble and you live in that bubble. And it's become, which is going to be one of the things for the headline for our show is dueling bubbles. I think to some extent, bubble is now being used for worldview and perspective. And if that's the case, I don't mind living in a bubble that's been informed by 58 years of being gay and 58 years of reading and being curious and being open-minded. I welcome that. So that's my bubble. And then you say what you got to say about it.
Well, no, I'm just saying, being in a bubble can be good, it can be dangerous, whatever. I just, Yeah, it's interesting. And the visual I'm getting is like these bubbles floating through air, and I blow one off, you blow one off, they pop, they connect, and it actually creates this beautiful thing when they collide, and they're gentle
They
when they
should
collide,
intersect. We should our bubbles
come
should be big
together.
enough that we can sort of groove on other people's bubbles too.
A bubble within a bubble. You've seen those bubble blowers where it blows all these bubbles, and then the bubbles live within the bubble. I like the bubble. I like the idea, the imagery for it, if you will, and I'm not being silly here. I like the idea that it can be a gentle co-mixing. You know, my friend Lynn that I referred to last night, he was kind of that get over it, Rick sort. We talked about this because when I was listening to Meryl the other night, with some friends, two actresses sitting on the same couch with me and a journalist on the other couch, I posted Meryl, exclamation point. And one of my very dear friends, who is a Trump voter, and you should talk to her because she's one of the more influential families here in town, extremely liberal, extremely wise, mother of three, someone I hugely respect. I just differ from the fact that she's a Trump supporter and, might I add, a Hillary hater. Sorry, you are, Kelly. And so I posted that, and she responded, Meryl's drunk. Well, that blew into this huge thing. Well, Kelly subsequently goes to bed because she's probably drunk. She's going to sleep. And that's fine. I mean, whatever. She's made an opinion no different than I made my opinion. And before you know it, all these people in their bubbles are, I'm an actress in New York, and how dare you say that? And someone's like, shut up, monkey, and play your grinder and make us happy and make us laugh. That's why you're called an entertainer, because you're there to entertain. And someone writes back from their bubble and says, I've been educated, because when's the last time you saw a movie where you're just entertained? Movies open your minds and make you think and represent America. And it's just funny. We can live in our, like you said, why can't we just be, our approach should just, but we're human. Why can't we just be I love Kelly. I love what she put. I love what I don't care.
Yeah, you totally lost what you said, but that's okay. I was going to say, also, too, I think it would be really beneficial for all of us to understand that we have our own bubbles. Like the people who are trashing Meryl or trashing the Trump voters, we need to understand that we have our own. I don't know. It might be too much for people, because I think a lot of people don't have the same minds that all of us do. And I can understand, just like I understood that I was being conditioned to be suspicious of Hillary Clinton for many, many years. And I actually stopped and looked at that and said, where is my thinking coming from? Very few people are willing to do that. And very few people, I think, are willing to say, you know what? I'm living in a bubble. And maybe if I watch, maybe if I read, not watch MSNBC, because I think all those shows are garbage for the most part. But you can actually read well-written, well-researched things to educate and expand your knowledge base.
I agree. And there's a difference between being a turtle living under their shell and rarely coming out, and living in a bubble which beautifully, again, back to the metaphor, beautifully floats through the world and collides and interacts and fades away, and new bubbles are formed. I like this bubble concept, Mark. I like it.
And I got one last thing to say, because then we're going to move on to your topic.
No, it will bubble into my next topic.
It kind of connects to how when I said I'm really weary of reading, stories about the typical Trump voter, eating in a greasy diner somewhere in Kentucky, when you can find them in at the plaza here in Manhattan. But I'm also really tired of this idea that entertainers or actors or writers shouldn't be expressing their opinions because they're just entertainers. They're just clowns to make me laugh or cry.
Oh my God!
But every time, we're constantly subjected to the wisdom of these people eating in these fucking, cheesy grits diners, like the middle American, the white working class in Sinkhole, Alabama, has some profound thing to say. I'm supposed to listen to them because isn't that profound? They're a white working family who can't survive, so they have some ancient wisdom shit. But Meryl Streep should keep her mouth shut. Hell no.
Well, you break now. I don't want to get off of it, and I will segue because I love that word into our topic. Back to
I ride them. You ever ridden a Segway?
You ride the what?
Have you ever ridden a Segway?
Oh no, they scare me.
Well, the founder went over a cliff on one, so rest his soul.
That stuff's scary. Is that irony or what is that? What would that be considered?
I don't know if it's irony, but it's I don't know, poetic justice, I guess.
Interesting. Why? He or she didn't ask for it.
No, but it's like that guy,
Justice
the
in
guy in
that.
the Tesla, right? He's out there, he's like out there test driving this Tesla and like playing a video game or some crap, and he gets decapitated. Like, where does your how much compassion can you have for somebody who doesn't
Oh
pay
my
attention?
God. He was just coming out of his bubble, and that's what happens. You know how I feel about Tesla. It's in my predictions for
You're
this is
buying
the
one.
year
I'm
of the
not buying
Tesla.
one.
I'm
No.
buying one, Mark. Anyway, you know what so this is your point about, we can all have opinions, but it doesn't make them profound unless they're relative to our experience or our knowledge set, if you will.
Ma and Pa
And,
Kettle had plenty to say.
well, no, it's true. I mean, I can comment on anything, but you know what? I can probably comment on art a little better because I know art and I like art. My friend Stephanie Kleck can probably comment on wine better than me, and I'm going to listen to her. People like, we can have open minds, but what I love, and make this a positive, I love people's passions. So I have a friend that's passionate about doing something with cars. So I called him yesterday and I said, hey, do you want tickets for the Monster Mash car crash at CenturyLink Center? I don't want those, but when Elton John comes to town, you better believe that I'm going to fill the house with my friends and have a great time. And but I'd rather go to Cole and get his opinion on cars than go to Stephanie Klatt and see what she thinks of cars. You see what I'm saying? It's it's interesting. So that being said, we're talking about the transgender issue of National Geographic. And it's really, really interesting because the cover story is a young girl, 9 years old, and she just didn't get why they picked her and put her on the cover. And her quote is profound, and people who have seen the quote actually talk about it, where it says, her quote is, "The best thing about being a girl is now I don't have to pretend to be a boy." And, years ago,
No,
God,
I'm okay.
how many years ago was it the cover of No, I wasn't worried about you. I knew you'd come back up. Were you doing something profound to
I was
Twisty
looking
for
for
a
my
minute
end
there?
quote, but I'll find it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, well, I think it was like 31 years ago. One of the reviews about this issue talked about the cover of National Geographic having oh God, what was it? A Afghani woman on the cover with her eyes piercing to the camera. This is how they opened the article, and then they said, 31 years later, another young girl peers out from the magazine's glossy front in equally compelling portrait with pink streaked hair. It's a beautiful cover, but This young lady is like, oh, why are you featuring me? This is who I am. But her name is Avery Jackson, first transgender individual to grace the cover in 128 years. She never intended to be, a trailblazer, if you will, and have all this attention. But she's happy she is because she can share her story, which to her, her parents supported her and, she dealt with her issues. But the interesting thing about this issue, Mark, is it didn't just explore transgender folks. It interviewed 80 people, and it kind of started to talk about gender, to your point. It goes off and basically contends that maybe someday we won't see gender, maybe someday we won't have gender, and everyone can just be who they are. So I go in and I read further to experts and people teaching this, and there's a name for it. It's called, what is it? I just looked it up. What is it, Mark? Come on, help me out. Oh, post-genderism. It's a social, political, and cultural movement where adherents affirm the voluntary elimination of gender in the human species. And then I dug deeper and I said, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And there can be a danger to it because they're saying people that are wired to be a man or people that are wired to be a woman possess different things, and we kind of need that, if you will, balance in the world. So it's interesting. Have you delved into this particular issue?
No, the issue of
magazine?
National Geographic. No, I was just reading synopses.
Uh-huh.
Of why they did it, and I read that they were highly criticized for it, and the typical nasty things people say. But I applaud them. I think it's fabulous.
That's why she wanted to do it. The editor said that they know it's been a topic, and National Geographic has looked at the science of things, and it was there's many scientific approaches in this too. Two different covers, by the way. The cover I got is the one that a subscriber gets. There's another cover with a group of 8 people or whatever that went on the newsstands, and those people represent cisgender as well as transgender kids.
Yes, and it what it brought up for me too was that, and so many people, like I said, they don't read. They're not interested in reading histories of anything, but the whole binary male female dichotomy that we have in Western culture is not the only one, and it's not the oldest one. I mean, people have this idea from Western culture that you're a man or you're a woman, you're a men's room, women's room, and all this other shit. But like when we were in Hawaii, not in Hawaii, I'm sorry, Las Vegas, visiting Kenny and Carlos, who moved to Las Vegas from Hawaii. Kenny showed us a videotape because he studied hula, but like real hula, not this bullshit Bob Hope nonsense. And with a family, with a Hawaiian family, and there was a woman who had become her authentic self, born male, but became who she is. And Frank had said, "Is she transgender?" And Kenny said, "There is no gender in Hawaiian culture."
Oh wow!
He said,
I love it.
She's Mahu, and so I went up and I looked up Mahu, and had been a documentary a few years ago about a woman who is Mahu, and we came along as Spain, England. We came along as Western conquerors, and did everything we could to obliterate the gender understandings in these cultures. And some of them there isn't any gender. Like Hawaii, there's no gender in authentic Hawaiian culture, and I love that. I think it's beautiful, and I think that that's part of what is coming into being in manifestation in our culture, and it's receiving intense, violent blowback. But I find it to be much more natural than what we're living.
And it is a discussion. Like it's very interesting because there are so many nuances to it, and I applaud the editors for doing that. Editor-in-chief being Susan Goldberg, because they do look at those cultures. There's a whole culture in the Indian community where it's a gender that's between the two, if you will, between male and female. American Indian, the third gender, that whole movement, and there's a glossary of terms, and it's pretty deep. Everything from So everything from cisgender to But one of the things that they did back off on a little bit, like I said, because it's learning for them as well. In the print version, you will see them identify intersex, which is part of their glossary of terms, as a disorder. I don't know if you saw this. And they backed down, and on their online editions, they've amended the definition of intersex to be an umbrella term that describes a person with a genetic, genital, reproductive, or hormonal configuration that does not fit typical binary notions of male or female. Right. And they did that, but they defended why they originally looked at it as a disorder, because it is a disorder in many ways, and people's lives that are intersex are affected by it and dealing with different issues. So it is a learning experience, and I think I applaud them for opening the conversation and taking a look at it.
I do too.
As it relates to the deeper picture, how do you feel? Do you think you would like to see a day where you don't know that I'm a man and you're a man and we're just Mark and Rick?
I think we're already there. I don't ever stop and think that you're a man. You're
For real?
No, you're Rick to me. The people in my lives are who they are. I don't really define them by gender unless I need to, unless there's a reason that I need to. And I'm not saying, I don't know if I'm making any sense on that, but I don't stop and I don't think about you as white either. You're white, obviously.
Right.
But I don't think Rick the man. I think Rick the person.
Right.
And I was going to say, I wanted to add something here because we were driving along on the road a couple weeks ago, and there's a radio station here. Most radio talk shows are right wing. I don't know what that's their medium. But anyway, so Judy Franco on 101, I hope she hears me, I doubt it, New Jersey 101.5. She's got a talk show with this other guy, and I don't like this chick at all. And she was going off on this 7-year-old trans boy with the Boy Scout or with the Cub Scouts who had been kicked out of the Cub Scouts, and she's saying, "This is ridiculous. The parents letting this kid think that she's a boy, and you can't make that decision at 7." And I turned it off because I wanted to scream, "Excuse me, she knew when she was 7 years old that she was a girl. She didn't, like I said, when I don't think of you as a man, when you're 7, you're not, I knew that I was same-sex attracted at 7. I didn't know I was gay because that's a political identity, but I absolutely knew that I was attracted to other boys. And when you're 5 or 6 or 7, you instinctively know your gender. You don't define it. Nobody says to you, or you know what I mean, define your gender for me." And so I thought I would love to ask her, did you think you were a girl at 7? And she would have said, "Of course I was." So it's absolutely a 7-year-old knows their gender instinctively. It's the whole definition of it is for people with more developed abilities, cognitive abilities. But of course, you know what your gender is at 7, and that's why you have 7-year-olds who are born male and saying, "I'm not a boy," because they know they're not a
Well,
boy.
I think you're absolutely right. And contrary to that, as I was digging deeper, one of the things that I didn't realize was puberty suppression and how they're using these blockers now to block puberty and block hormone growth until a child is of age to make their decision, And I can only imagine, I've never bore a child, given birth to a child. I don't know if I could say, well, let's wait until they're, 5 or 6 or whatever the age is so they can determine their gender identification. But it's interesting because they do have these suppressants that you can take that prevent breast growth or testicular enlargement and all those things while a child is deciding. But I did go a little deeper and read into the Daily Wire, and I was reading an article there. Now we could just really go off. 27-year-old woman who's got, scruff on her face but still has enlarged breasts. And basically it's like this whole fucking conversion therapy thing for transgender, community saying, oh, I thought I was a man, but I'm really still a woman. And I was confused. And the writer of the article contends that, if you let it pass in a certain amount of years, in 10 years or whatever, 80% of people will grow out of their gender confusion and realize, it breaks my heart. Basically suggesting the 9-year-old on the cover of National Geographic may someday wake up and say, why did I claim myself as a girl when I'm really a boy? What the fuck is that about? So I am a little challenged by that. And now I got to change the topic because that took me down a path where it's like, God, really? We have to look at that? But I just want to say I think it's a natural progression to sum this up. What started as a struggle for sexual equality under the feminist movement became marriage equality under the gay, LGBT community, and now it's a question of gender equality under the transgender movement. And I love that. And this was a writer in the Daily Record that I was reading that basically said, it was sexual equality under feminism, then it was marriage equality under the LGBT community, and now under the transgender community, we're looking at gender equality and gender equality, both. Very interesting. So I don't know where I stand with it, but I agree. You got to see people for who they are in their little bubbles or however they may be living.
Well, I guess where I stand with it ultimately is to try the best that we can to choose compassion over judgment, even with people that I despise. I mean, I can't. It's hard to be compassionate toward Trump, but I try to be compassionate toward people. I really do, and unless they're powerful, then I have something to say. But ultimately, I just let people be who they are, and don't worry, don't trip on it. It's none of my business, and beyond a point, unless they're going to try to harm me.
Oh, I totally agree.
Final thoughts, Ricky?
My final thoughts lead into exactly that, and I'll keep them short because I've had them for like 2 weeks, as you know, and because we keep having shows that are fulfilling. I love this conversation. I hope you do too, folks. Weigh in. If you're on YouTube, go below, put your comment in.
Or listen to us on the twistpodcast.com. We're also on audio. We are on an audio podcast.
Yeah, that's very true. And find us on Facebook, Facebook of thetwistpodcast.com. Send us commentary. Write to us. Get us involved. Let us know what you want to talk about. And, maybe one day we'll put
your bubbles.
We'll see. Yeah.
Blow some bubbles, folks.
Anyway, that being said, there was a quote that I read over the holidays. My friend Lisa, who Donna's girlfriend, has a book on quotes from the Dalai Lama. And it wasn't so much the exact quote, but it was the essence of, we, and I made note of this last week. So my final thoughts are this. We who are raising children, and they can be your own children, and not to take away from the fact, like I said, I never gave birth to a child, but I'll tell you what, I'm extremely intimate. Let me give you the example with my niece, who's 15 years old, Haley. Haley, I love you. I love you dearly. And we Snapchat, and we relate. And, they say that, I'm just saying this for those of us who don't have children of our own. Those are our children. Children are our future, when Winston tells us, and it's the truth. If the relationship between an aunt and an uncle and a niece or a nephew is extremely powerful because you're their friend and their mentor / parent at the same time. And I give a lot of credit to my sister-in-law, Lisa. She told me, she goes, I'm really grateful you have conversations with Haley. They're conversations that I can't have with my own daughter. She overheard us talking one night about Haley and I calling them issues, short for issues. And we have them in sessions, Mark, which are like sessions. So we have ish sessions. We talk about 16-year-old boys, and we talk about those things, and it's a wonderful experience. But one of the things Dalai Lama said is, Why are we so driven by the spelling bees and the science labs and the contests? Why don't we just teach our kids about charity and understanding and asking questions why? And when we do that, algebraic expressions that have changed over the years, or as we know now in the world of technology, as things go faster and faster, change like Google metrics, they're changing every day. Does that science really matter to us? I know it trains our brains to analytically think, and I know there's a value to learning, conjugation and all that stuff. But the challenge is, why can't we teach our kids to ask questions like why? Why can't we teach our kids how to give to charity? And there's a great book out there by Amanda Lang called The Power of Why. And she basically says curious kids learn how to learn and how to enjoy it. And that, more than any specific body of knowledge, is what they will need to have in the future. The world is changing so rapidly, but that by the time a student graduates from university, everything he or she learned may already be headed toward obsolescence. The main thing that students need to know is not what to think, but how to think it in order to face new challenges and solve new problems. And then you go on and you learn, there's things you can do. Teach your kids about the charities in their community. Teach your kids about how to get involved. Teach your kids why there's homelessness. We as adults have understandings that they don't have because we've been jaded, if you will, through the world. And I would really encourage those that are listening, the value of going beyond working with your kid on their homework. And, they got to do it because schools are teaching it. But I really would open up schools' minds, too, to really start to look at the other side, that there is something beyond knowledge, Mark. And that something is asking why and being analytical and seeing how to get involved at a younger age, because I truly believe it would make for a better world.
And compassion.
Yes.
I personally think unconditional compassion is much harder than unconditional love to practice.
Wow. I know that's not your end quote, but that's a great quote. Say that again. I want to hear it again. I really do.
No, I think unconditional compassion is much harder to practice than unconditional love. Compassion is not the same thing as love. Anyways, here's our end quote if you're ready. I love that. Yeah, I could end on that note and be a happy boy, but thank you for sharing that. Well, this was it kind of goes to that. It goes to the future that we're coming into with a new administration. And I think it goes to our lives in general. And it's from Michelle Obama, the lovely Michelle Obama.
Here's to you.
Her final speech as First Lady. This was over a week ago. But she said, quote, I want our young people, she was talking to high schoolers, and she said, I want our young people to know that they matter, that they belong. So don't be afraid. You hear me, young people? Don't be afraid. Be focused, be determined, be hopeful, be empowered. And then she ended with this line, lead by example with hope, never fear. And I think that's for everybody. I think that's for all of us. Lead by, have hope, not fear. Because I see so much fear right now, and I'm not going there.
I like that, but we got to find Sasha. Where's Sasha?
Sasha was like blowing off her old man is what she was. No, she was like doing tests or something, right?
Yeah, I was reading these things like they were speculating, all through the night, like it says reading the news. One was
she was in a hotel in Russia.
No, one was like, hey boss, can I have off tomorrow? My dad's giving a really important speech, and the boss is like, you better find a replacement first. But yeah, they do say that she had a very important exam this morning. I haven't gotten to the bottom of it. DC,
and of course, he's a good parent. He's not going to make her sit there and listen to him.
No, and he was in Chicago. God forbid she'd be she'd be targeted on the streets of Chicago. That's a whole nother subject, but not the safest place to be these days.
Everybody, thanks for watching and listening to another. See, my voice is going, boy. We extended it. Your friends who want us to do an hour, we're getting close.
Yeah, we're getting
but we
there.
got to keep it engaging. We can't just fill it with stuff, right? Like
no,
stupid
I thought it was
coats
engaging.
that I'm wearing in the
Mark,
beginning.
it was good.
It was excellent. Thanks, everybody. And this has been The Twist, America's only clothing optional podcast. And we'll be back a week from now. Bye, Rick.
See y'all. Bye.